Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I have the pleasure of chatting with my, fairly recent friend, Phoebe J. Rose, from across the pond over in jolly old England. And now, if you guys are unfamiliar with Phoebe, there is a link that I put below that will take you to all the links that Phoebe has out there if you are interested and would like to check her out. Also, I've been given a heads up that there will be some far right stuff being spoken about today, so just be prepared for that kind of thing. But we're not going to say that Phoebe's far right or anything, but there's going to be some issues brought up in that sort of respect. So if you're about to take a sip and you hear that stuff and you want to spew it out all over the place, feel free to do so. Anyways, Phoebe, you know what I do here. I speak to people about their journeys away from whatever belief systems they were once a part of. So I always encourage them to take us back when they're involved and how those dominoes started to fall and you found your way out.
Well, it started at school because I've been a part of two religious systems. So the religious system I brought up with as a child was Christianity. Mm-hmm. And the religious system that I ended up in as an adult was Judaism. And I'm now part of neither of them.
Right.
So in Britain, I went to private schools in Britain. Mm-hmm. But this would apply to some public schools as well. But because I went to private schools, some people that are familiar with the British educational system will be able to understand a bit better what I'm saying. So the first school I went to was a private school.
Uh-oh. That was great. At least we know what time it is.
That's my front doorbell.
Oh, okay.
There is someone else in my house that will go answer that for me. But yes, the first school I went to was a private preparatory school, which was a charity, where its charitable aim was the promotion of Christianity and Anglicanism amongst the community and those who went to it. So from the ages of, I'd say about 4, it was daily Christian worship. This was in the form of daily Christian assemblies. That was 5 days a week from the age of 4. There would be learning of Christian songs through drama classes. We'd be bribed with episodes of Veggie Tales. And I remember at the age of, I think I was 8 or 9, I played Joseph in the school nativity. So there I was. Nice. I was Joseph in the school nativity. And when you're 9 years old, you don't realise what's going on around you. But that carried on until I went to my secondary school. And this secondary school had a church attached to it. So every day we had a church service, every single day. Without fail.
Oh, yay.
And there would be, taking religious education at the age of 14 to 16 was compulsory at my school. Whereas if you're unfamiliar with the UK school system, usually you get to select some of the classes that you take and then go and do them from 14 to 16. But at my school, religious education, you had to take that. And it was Christianity that they focused on in their syllabus. But in all fairness, I will give a lot of credit to the RE teacher. Before we hit the GCSEs, she did teach us about other religions. And at my prep school, we were taught about other religions, but it was very much that these are other religions that other people follow. We don't encourage you to follow them. We prefer if you stayed in high Anglicanism and, you kept going to church. And I had a christening, much to the chagrin of my grandfather, but much to the love of my grandmother. And my mother said I'll always remember my mother said, I had you christened to keep my mother happy. And I didn't really care how much I pissed off my father because I knew that he would be the one that was understanding. Whereas if I pissed her off, she'd be less understanding. And then when I went to sixth form, so 16, 17 and up to 18, the school I went to had a chapel on site. that can be seen for a long way around. So we're going up in the world from just a church to a whole chapel, and we were required to go to the chapel every Sunday as an attendant of the school. Every Wednesday they blocked off the first lesson for Eucharist, and you were expected to go up and take Eucharist, which I, as a believer in high Anglicanism and coughing my guts up every time they would spray some more incense around, I went and did what I was supposed to as a good boy then, as I was.
Right.
And I look back on it and I go, it was all I knew. And when you're from the ages of 4, 5, 6, and that's the only thing you're told, and you're not given a wider context, you don't see anything even remotely unusual about it. I mean, this was Britain in the 1990s and early 2000s. It was a much more religious place than it is now. And I got quite into it.
Being 90s and early 2000s and whatnot, it was more religious at that point. It seems kind of odd that, by the way, #coins, that in such a short time, how did it become less religious?
Britain became less religious when it became more Islamophobic.
Okay, that kind of makes sense, yeah.
Britain has gradually gone down a path of becoming a less tolerant place as it's got further through. And whilst people have stayed in religion, they don't do religion anymore. The big turning point in Britain was the July 7th terrorist attack on the London Underground. There was a lot of rise of the British National Party, for example. They won seats in the European Parliament. They won seats on the London Assembly. And we're talking neo-Nazis in suits.
Sorry, just my hair wanted to wave at Pale Blue Mama.
Hi, Amanda. But yeah, the British National Party, neo-Nazis in suits.
Lovely.
And as they rose, they got more overtly Christian, and people backed away from Christianity because they saw it being appropriated by the far right. But I got all into the Christianity. I was at the Christmas services at my local church. I was one of the acolytes. I was a sacristan that led the service and everything. So I was properly into it. And then you do this thing where you leave structured compulsory education and you go off to university or college. So what did I do when I went off to university or college? Let everything go. And it all went wild. And it's like, I'm too lazy to get up on a Sunday now. And it kind of fell away. And
well, that sounds, there had to have been something that sort of sparked you to want to do that.
I was drinking far too much on a Saturday night, and I was having too much sex on a Saturday night.
Oh, you just wanted to sin.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I saw I was doing. And it was just like,
Yeah.
This is more fun than going to church and being told off.
Oh, I would agree with you 100%.
So part of me just went, well, this is a lot more fun. I was also finding that after I'd been out on a Saturday night, I then use a Sunday to go and do the work I was supposed to have done throughout the whole week. So I'd do all the work on like a Sunday. I was like, I can't be bothered to waste good studying time. So my Christianity kind of just fell away, and it was something I would call myself a Christian, but it just fell away into the background.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to the age of 20, and I was in my final year at university, and I met a lovely 18-year-old girl who happened to be Jewish.
Okay.
And we very, very nearly got married.
Wow.
And throughout that process of very, very nearly marrying her, I drifted towards Judaism.
Okay.
And we didn't get married because I came back to where we were living at the time. And she announced to me that she was pregnant.
Uh-oh.
This was news to me, considering I had been away on business for the past 2 months.
Right.
And she'd been away on business for 6 weeks before that, so we'd only had like a day to see each other, and we didn't do the dirty, as they say. So they've been like...
I haven't heard that expression in a long time.
So, yeah, we hadn't had sex in that day that we were there because we were all rushing around like blow-ass flies. So I kind of went, you're expecting me to be all happy and cheery, but I'm going... Are you trying to tell me something? At which point she'd seen through the wall she was trying to put up and had seen that I had seen through her wall. And it kind of just fell apart, and she told me that she'd been having it off with another bloke.
Oh, jolly good.
At least she was honest with me, is what I said to her. At that point, I picked up my cat, loaded up the back of my car, drove off, and told her I never wanted to see her again.
That surprises me.
So then I drove back down.
Same thing.
Then I drove back down to my mother's house, and I stayed with my mother. But the Judaism stayed with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was around this time that I started to come out and begin my transition.
Okay.
So I was about 20, and this was kind of my second transition, because I'd kind of first transitioned when I was like 15, and I kind of transitioned like socially, and I'd been on like some hormone blockers. And then when I was like 17, 18, I kind of went, maybe I'll give this being a bloke thing a try again. And then I think that falling into this relationship with my now ex-fiance was part of that manifestation of what I was trying to do. And I found Masorti Judaism, which is also known as conservative Judaism, which is quite open and quite accepting of the LGBT community.
Yes, it's pretty much when they say conservative Judaism, you can't.
It means centrist.
Lump it in. Right. It doesn't mean actually conservative like you would think of in the U.S., where a lot of them are against that kind of thing. Right? So
if there's like a scale of Judaism, you've got like liberal Judaism on one end, and then you've got like Reform Judaism, then you've got Masorti conservative, then you've got your Orthodox, and then you've got your more fundamentalist people.
Hasidic.
Yes. Your Hasidics over down the far side.
They're crazy. I'm telling you. When I lived in Israel, I went through a place called Mea Shearim, which is a Hasidic city. Yes. And they even have T-shirts there. They have T-shirts there that say, I got stoned in Mea Shearim. And it's like a little play on things. But you literally, if you walk through there on a religious holiday, they will throw rocks at you. If you're smoking or holding hands or whatever, they'll throw rocks at you.
Wow.
Yep. They have little buckets on all their little porches that have stones in them. It's crazy.
Speaking of transition, just diverting here slightly, Hasidic Judaism went through a bit of a crisis when Abby Stein came out as a trans woman, and it threw Hasidic Judaism for six because, oh God, somebody who's a direct descendant of the founder of Hasidic Judaism is a trans woman. Ah!
Yeah, arms up in the air, running around like chickens with their heads cut off.
Yeah, and it was very...
What is it? What do you got, a magic fridge behind you? Where'd that come from?
You'll never know. It's a miracle.
Oh, of course.
It's a miracle. But yes, I do remember when Abby Stein came out, and there was a lot of uproar, shall we say, when she came out.
Right.
because she was, not only was she a direct descendant of the founder of Hasidic Judaism, whose name escapes me, but she was also one of the top rabbis as well.
Mm-hmm. I remember the story. It was a lot of people
wild.
I know here were talking about it. So
it was wild.
Oh yeah.
And then, getting back to my story, and then I went to Thailand. November 2015, I went to Thailand and I saw a man known in trans communities as the Good Surgeon. This is a surgeon who is probably the best reputationed surgeon for lower SRS for trans women in the world. And while I was out there, I met an American who I fell for. And that relationship turned out to be the most dangerous relationship I've ever entered.
Oh?
Because this is the relationship where I ended up being radicalized into the extreme right. And not only was I radicalized into the extreme right, I was radicalized into white nationalism and Zionism. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking extreme Zionism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh, goody.
So I was one of those people that would have said that Netanyahu was doing nothing wrong last month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that person anymore. But I was a distasteful human being in the far right in the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I was a white nationalist and a Zionist, and I was embraced by the white nationalist movement in the UK.
Okay.
And I was a practicing Jew in that movement, and people used to venerate and revere me. And I had people that would turn around to me and say, "You are the future of this movement because you don't look like us. You look like an ordinary person. You're well-educated, you're young, and you tick all the nice boxes of all of the woke stuff." Somebody actually said that to me. And I was in that movement for a good 6 years, good five years. I only left about 10, 11 months ago. Or, sorry, I only realised I'd left about 10, 11 months ago. And it all started when my grandmother died.
Right.
And the person I was in the relationship with couldn't handle how I was mourning.
Oh.
She couldn't do it. She couldn't handle how I was mourning. She couldn't accept that I was openly mourning for my grandmother.
Right.
She couldn't accept that I, in her words, hadn't prepared myself stoically.
Oh, fuck. Well, my condolences to you, by the way.
And I ended that relationship because I saw that it was hurting me from an emotional standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And gradually, I stepped back from white nationalism. And then my step-grandmother died 5 months after that.
Oh, boy.
And then 3 months after she died, my grandfather died. So in this course of about 8-9 months, I lost the generation above my mother.
Sorry to hear that.
And I slowly realized that I'd hit rock bottom at that point. Mm-hmm. Genuinely, I'd hit absolute rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And I slowly started to try to educate myself on racial issues.
Okay.
And I knew I had to start again. And I would ask friends, talk to me like I'm a blank slate on these things. And I didn't realize that as I was going through learning about all these racial issues again, I was wiping away everything that I was conditioned to believe about religion that I had done as well. So as I wiped away all of the extremism, what came away with it as well was all of my religious beliefs, my identification with Judaism began to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
I reread the Torah and the Talmud, and I looked at it differently because I had a friend of mine sit down and go, talk to me like I'm an alien about Black Lives Matter. Don't talk to me about it from economics or other points of view. Talk to me about it as to why it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this person sit there and educate me on it.
Okay.
And then about 5 or 6 months later, I reread the Talmud. And there are passages in there that made me feel ill because I read it as a Jewish supremacy document.
Mm-hmm.
A document that said that the Jews are the chosen people. And I thought,
right.
I was saying white people are the chosen people.
Yeah. Like a conflict right there.
This book says exactly what I was saying, and I can see that's wrong. So now I go and look at this book, and I can't square in my head how I can even condone competing with it, even condone going along with it, even condone the contradictions in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a breakdown. I had a complete breakdown. The cognitive dissonance that I experienced was so severe. I went into my shell. I just couldn't function because everything I knew in my normalcy, everything I considered to be correct and true, was gone. Because I had fallen into such an extreme point of view with white nationalism and extreme Zionism. And then I saw those same things repeated in the Jewish religious texts over and over. It has no problem with slavery.
Nope.
It has no problem with murder. It has no problem with deceit.
Yep.
The festival of Purim is all about how Esther deceived a man so he could be lynched.
Yep.
So he could just be lynched. And I think...
Well, he was kind of a dick, so you can't let that go.
But it still doesn't give you the right to lynch the man.
Of course.
He may be an arsehole, but still. I think, and I saw, if this was told as a story outside of the context of religion, you could apply it to 1800s America in the South.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole concept of Judaism and Christianity just fell apart. And the pain that I had in my head for so many weeks as a result of it, I had to stop and I had to just sit down and I had to go, can I square any of this? Can I actually sit there and square any of what I have in front of me? Because I considered to myself, well, okay, maybe it's just that I've been reading too much of the Jewish text. Let's read some of the Christian texts, which are even worse. Which are even worse. Because it takes it takes some of the Judaism and then it goes pro with some of it.
Yeah. But what was it, do you think, that attracted you to the white nationalism and those kinds of beliefs to begin with?
It was the way it was introduced to me. It was the way it was fed into me. Mm-hmm. I talk a lot about this on a stream I did with Ed. And I go into that in a lot more detail. But it was gradually introduced to me by this person I was in a relationship with. So they'd send me like a couple of videos from white nationalists, and then they'd send me a couple more. And then I'd get a couple more myself. And then I'd look at a few more myself. And then I'd go to meet up with a few people. And then, and before you know it, you're
completely ensconced
in the deep end, swimming the English Channel. And you don't even realize you've done it. Just like a lot of people also don't realize that they may have fallen into or out of an extreme way of thinking. You can do it with anything. And the other thing I did is I didn't realize I'd fallen out of the extreme right until I looked back and went, oh, wait, I don't do that anymore. But I knew I had left white nationalism properly when somebody left a loaded magazine revolver magazine, just the barrel, on my doorstep with a note.
Oh.
They were live bullets in this magazine.
Oh.
And it was death threat.
Against you, or for you
Against
to do
me.
it against somebody? Oh,
Against
wow.
me. It was against me. So I was basically given a warning shot.
Unreal. How did you deal with that?
Dialed 999. And they went,
Good idea.
hello, can I have the police, please?
Yeah, good idea.
They told me to immediately vacate where I was living.
Really?
I was told to just leave immediately.
Wow.
I don't live there anymore.
Yeah, which I get that, but that's not exactly something you can do in a day.
I basically, the police said, we advise you go and find a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
We advise you go and find a hotel and stay there. And if possible, you have other people come and take the stuff out of this place, and you find somewhere else.
Right.
But we would advise you not to sleep here ever again.
Right.
So that was one of those moments where you realize, hang on a minute, they now think of me as the enemy. And in a way, that gave me a lot of strength, knowing what I had been doing was now over.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did I know that it was over, but I also knew I was on my own. I knew I was alone. And it gave me a lot of strength to actually look in myself. And I looked at all of the religion that I had been a part of. And I looked at it in a completely different way. I looked at it not as an organization, but as a cult. I looked at it and I tried to find evidence for what was being said outside of the religious texts.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to find evidence for people saying these things and they weren't falling back on the religious texts. And people will try to claim that they have, but none of it stacked up. None of it stacked up. None of it stood up to objective criticism.
Right.
Because the religious way of looking at things that I had been told was, you have to disprove the religion, and nobody's disproved it. Whereas the actual way that you do things, and the actual way that reason and rationality and a lot of objectivity works, is you prove something and then I'll believe it.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I've got £1 million in my bank account and then say, well, I can't prove I haven't, so therefore I have. That's not how it works. As much as I'd like it to work that way, it doesn't work that way.
Right. I can prove that I don't have millions in my account. I just go on the app and show you.
Here's the thing, though. What if you have £1 million in a secret bank account that you don't know about?
Oh, shit. Well, that would really be a secret bank account. I should look into that.
That's how I kind of looked at religion after I had received the death threat.
Right.
That was the first death threat. I did receive other death threats, but they were made in a way that wasn't as scary as that first one.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I went, shit, a few times.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I was pretty scared.
Yeah, no doubt. But at least you know they don't have that ammo. Because they left it for you. It's like, what are they doing? Preparing you to fight back? Like, what's going on here? All you need to do is get the gun that fits in and you're good, right?
Well, precisely, but...
Yeah, come on, brother. I'll blow you all away before you reach my door.
But yeah, I don't really want to have a firearm in the UK, particularly a handgun. I don't like a mandatory 7-year jail sentence.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Britain has no Second Amendment, for all you Americans out there who are wondering.
Well,
but I gradually then moved away from all of the religion. And something that came back to me was something that I had not really done for a long time, except when I was at university in my course. I began to be much more challenging. I began to stand up for myself again. I began to not follow other people.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I then realized I don't actually believe in the sky god, whether it be one sky god or many sky gods. Or even if it's a sky god, I don't believe in that anymore. And having seen that 30 odd years of my life were dedicated to the following of something which I now view as complete and utter hogwash, is something that I'm pretty angry about because I want those 30 years back.
Yes, of course, yeah.
I can't have those 30 years back, but I can use the next 30 years in a much more productive way. Mm-hmm. And I can start having the life I want, and I can have the life without worrying about what I eat, because Jewish dietary restrictions really did a number on me. I mean, really did a number on me.
Oh, they suck.
They really do suck. And the problem that I had with Jewish dietary restrictions is when I would then dieting to try to lose weight, I've then become obsessed with it. And I almost developed an eating disorder because I was so obsessed with what I was eating. Thanks to the Jewish dietary restrictions that said some things you can eat, some things you can't eat. So,
even when I was in the Judaism stuff, we didn't really even stick to that. We had bacon and shellfish and shit. We didn't care.
You had shellfish wrapped in bacon.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, crab meat wrapped in bacon is fucking awesome.
I have to try that. But it all became a bit of a flood for me. Where I realized I'd had something and I felt that I no longer was beholden to anybody but myself. Mm-hmm. And when I realized that had happened to me, I was able to do this for the very first time in my life.
Like a whole huge weight had been lifted off your shoulders.
And
I love the sound effects in the background. You get seagulls and weird little bells and Big Ben noises and shit going on.
Hashtag British. And it was just I was finally able to say, well, I haven't done these things because I always thought that they were forbidden or off limits. But why?
Yeah, I know. Like, well, my dad once told me that there were reasons why pork, at least, was considered unclean because it was very hard to keep pork as opposed to the other meats. So they considered it unsafe to eat at the best of times. So and that's why. Same with seafood.
And a student doctor friend of mine will say that pork is dangerously difficult to actually kill all the bacteria in it.
Right,
and
that's right.
It's just a horrible thing to actually try to prepare and have no bacteria in it. But I've had a bacon cheeseburger now, which is like The ultimate in messing up with Jewish diet, because not only did I have bacon, I mixed my dairy and my meat.
In combination.
In combination.
Yeah.
And I did it on a Saturday during the day. And yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't handle not being able to eat the odd cheeseburger. Not that I eat a lot of like fast food type stuff, but once in a while I get a craving for a good cheeseburger.
But yeah,
with bacon on it, of course. As a matter of fact, if I ever need religion, I'll worship bacon. So there you go.
But yeah, the very first... You remind me of the very first person I saw who was openly an atheist. And that person was, ironically, Penn Jillette of the magician duo.
I remember you mentioning that in the chat the other day. Yeah.
And he had this thing where he said, I've started the Church of Bacon because at least bacon is real.
I like it.
But he was the first person that I actually saw that was openly talking about atheism, openly talking about skepticism, openly talking about it in a way that wasn't offensive. He wasn't trying to tear people down. Whereas other people that I'd seen do atheism were what I call arsehole atheists.
Like me.
You're not an arsehole atheist. You have nice people like me come and scare the pants off your lovely viewers.
And I appreciate it.
If your viewers weren't having their pants scared off by what I'm saying, then, you know. But he was actually going... The book itself is full of stories of nonsense. The people who believe it aren't bad people. The people who believe it just believe it. It doesn't mean that the person believing it is a bad person. It just means they believe rubbish. And a lot of people believe rubbish. That doesn't make them a bad person.
Right. Well, there's an old expression that says there are good people and there are bad people. And it takes something like religion to make an otherwise good person become a bad person or behave like a bad person.
Yeah. And when I started to actually watch some of him, I actually realized that being able to take this frustration that's within me and this disappointment that's within me of having wasted 30 years of my life, I can now do something much more productive with it. I can now do those things that I've always stopped myself from doing. I don't thank God anymore for getting my degree. I don't thank God anymore for my achievements in life. I thank me for them. I did them. Me. Somebody said to me, you have an ego the size of Jupiter. Yeah, I do.
Pretty big.
And it's all mine. And I created it, and all my successes are in there, and all those successes are mine.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's my self-confidence coming through. And if some people see that as an ego of mine, then fine, they see that as an ego of mine. But I see it as my self-confidence. And I'm not going to change being so confident in myself.
Right.
Just because it makes somebody else feel that they aren't being successful.
Well, having an ego doesn't make you egotistical. Everybody has an ego, right? So,
well, yeah. It's when you become an egomaniacal lunatic and you start running around making sure that everyone knows that you have an ego going, pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Having an ego doesn't make you arrogant. It's just when you behave like that, then you're just a dick. That's all
I haven't yet met an arrogant person without an ego.
Oh, well.
I'm still waiting to find that person. I'd like to meet the arrogant person with no ego. That would be a very interesting science experiment, I think.
I don't think Doorknob got the idea of what we were talking about. An ego the size of a toaster slot.
I think he's a bit syrupy.
I think so too. Almost to the point where he could be Canadian.
Ooh. Or is he a Quebecer?
Yeah, who knows?
Swimming in that strategic maple syrup reserve.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that a real thing? The strategic maple syrup reserve? Is that really a real thing? It can't be. Or it must just be like old wives' tale.
It is. It is. Collecting syrup's really easy if you know where to go to do it. But that's just nonsense.
It's an old wives' tale.
Yeah.
But the US did have the strategic berry reserve at one point, where farmers had to give a percentage of all berries to the US government.
Really? I didn't know that.
It was some World War II hangover that didn't get, struck down until like a few years ago because America.
Okay.
Also, black currants are illegal to be grown in America, so no Ribena for you Americans.
Well, they're too busy trying to put those 10 Commandments in all the courts and stuff like that. So.
I'd always remember watching the Alabama special election because Jeff Sessions had become Donnie T's Attorney General. Mm-hmm. And you had Judge Roy Moore, who got chucked off the Alabama Supreme Court for installing the 10 Commandments in the hallway.
Yeah.
Alabama Court. You just think America was built on this separation of church and state.
Yep.
And the state includes the courts. So this guy just clearly an egomaniac that wants everyone to think the way he does, which is fascism.
Yep. Yeah, but they don't think of it that way themselves. How dare you say that about them? You asshole.
How dare I speak the truth to you? How dare I speak the truth to you? How dare you spout nonsense at me?
Well, yeah, fuck those guys.
But yeah, I say it's been a very complicated journey into High Anglicanism, out of High Anglicanism, into Masorti Judaism, into the far right and white nationalism, out of the far right white nationalism and Zionism, and then out of Judaism itself, and now putting on this hat and going, I'm an atheist.
Is that an official atheist hat?
It is made of paper. This hat is entirely made of paper.
Really?
Yes. It's from Germany, and it's made of paper.
That's pretty cool, actually.
In the after party, people stick around for the after party. I'll show you, and I'll prove to you all that it's made of paper. So now you've got to stay for the after party for the proof.
Well, as long as it doesn't wreck it. You're not going to wreck it, are you?
Oh, no, there's a tag in here that's now off camera that nobody can see because they've got to wait for the after party to see it.
Oh, we got a cliffhanger, folks.
So is there anything you want to ask me?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to, when you had your fiance and you were introduced to the whole Judaism thing, what about it attracted you the most to that belief system?
I saw it as, the thing that attracted me the most was it's more structured. And as somebody who's...
Mark says it's got to be a foil hat if you're going to be protected.
I'll get some alley foil and I'll line the inside just for you.
There you go.
Stick around for the after party. That's going to happen, you know.
No, Ian, my friend, or Pine Snake, wants to know if you're going to smoke that.
Hashtag smoke-free environment.
Oh, there you go.
But as somebody who's autistic and on the autistic spectrum, I found the structure of Judaism very appealing, very enticing.
I can see that. Yeah.
And it's a lot more fun than Christianity. There's a lot more festivals. There's a lot more joy. Mando, I'm coming to Georgia. I'm not bringing my hat now. But yes, I saw Judaism as a lot more fun. There were more festivals. There was more eating. There was more dancing. There was more singing. There were more Oh, yeah. I still keep a lot of Jewish foods in my diet because it is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
For the eagle-eyed amongst you, you will see that I'm still wearing a Star of David. Because it's it's actually quite pretty. And I quite like wearing it. And it's also my way of saying, I can wear whatever I like.
Yeah.
You don't own the Star of David. I can wear whatever I like. It's just a star made of silver that I quite like, that I think is quite decorative.
It is. I still have one.
They're very
and
nice.
a high symbol as well. I still have one of those in there. And a mezuzah, that you wear.
Yes.
I got mine in my bar mitzvah. It's gold. I don't wear gold because gold fucks my skin up. So I have to wear either.
Did you go green when you put gold on?
Yes,
Does it go green?
yes. Green, and sometimes it gets all fucking red and itchy and stuff. So I have to wear pure silver or stainless steel. Those are the only two things I can actually wear. And I kept a symbol from my, the pentacle from when I was into Wicca and paganism and stuff. So.
But yes, I say, some people, this is not a religion thing, but some groups don't understand how things work. The NCAA, the athletics people in America, tried to make rules regarding people who weren't members of the NCAA. So they tried to introduce a rule that said that basketball teams cannot hire professional players straight out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
There's a problem there. The NCAA only have jurisdiction over collegiate athletics and collegiate athletics associations. So high schools they have no control over. The NBA they have no control over, but they tried to implement a rule that said that the NBA can't circumvent colleges and go to the high schools directly.
Wow, okay.
And they got laughed at because it was unenforceable.
Yeah, of course.
It's like the Masons have a rule that says only a Mason can wear a Mason's ring.
Okay, it's called big deal. So
and here's the thing, then: if you're not a Mason, you're not bound by the rules of the Masons. So how do the Masons enforce their rules against people who aren't Masons when they say only a Mason can wear a Mason's ring?
Nothing they can do about it.
Well, precisely. It's just hokum and nonsense.
Of course.
And this is a lot of the things that I do see when I look back at religion that I was doing. I was telling people they couldn't do things because they weren't part of the religion that I was part of. I now look at that and I go, that's absurd. I have no control over what people are doing. And yes, paradoxical rules are paradoxical, Manda.
Doorknob had said he ordered a Star of David online, but he only received 2 triangles. Apparently, is some assembly required.
Now the question is, if you got it in blue and it came on a white background, you've accidentally ordered a flag.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was one of those arseholes who would tell people they couldn't do certain things because they weren't part of the religion club that I was part of, which is ridiculous. Because who am I to tell other people what to do? Who are they to tell me what to do at the end of the day? I feel like I am a lot freer as a human being, having looked back at my childhood and gone, I was indoctrinated into religion. It didn't matter what religion it was, but I've been indoctrinated into believing in God, believing back then into Jesus Christ, which then allowed me to be receptive and susceptible to falling into Judaism.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Because once you've been conditioned to fall into one extreme group, you can then fall into another extreme group. And religions are quite extreme. And for me, it had the worst effect possible. I fell into white nationalism. I fell into Zionism. And I was a dangerous human being. And I never, ever want to be in that position where I'm following something blindly, like I was following Judaism blindly, and I was following white nationalism blindly. And I never want to do that again. And I blame religion from a young age for the conditioning and failing to give me a grounding in rational and critical thought that would have made me go, you know what? This is a load of bullshit.
Wow. What's this? I don't know. It's only ethnic. Well, I don't think you can actually be.
Depends how you're defining ethnic group here.
Right.
Depends how you define it.
Because there's all kinds of different ethnic groups within Judaism, so I don't know.
Oh, precisely. It's like you have the Berber Jews from North Africa who are still Jews. You have Ethiopian Jews who are still Jews. You have European Jews, Russian Jews, American Jews, all over the place.
Japanese Jews.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you find them everywhere, really.
Just like you find white people everywhere. Just like you find black people everywhere. Just like you find arseholes everywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what demographic you come from. There's assholes in all of them.
Arseholes for the lose.
That's right. That's right. You just got to figure out the best way to ignore the fuckers and just carry on.
Oh, yes. But I'm now able to go... And I'm able to do things that I would never have embraced doing. It's like I now am confident and comfortable enough to fight against these harmful ideas and these harmful practices.
Sure.
In Britain, we have what's known as the gender critical movement. And I see so many parallels with that, with the extreme right and extreme religion that I was part of. And when people get told that by me, they get really defensive. And they don't like to be told that maybe, hang on a second, have you actually stepped back and gone, I'm being a complete tit? Which is something that I ended up doing to myself. And when I realized I'd left white nationalism and when I realized I'd left religion, I felt physically ill for a few days. No, for a few weeks, actually. I felt physically ill.
Really?
Because I was sick. It made me really sick inside. That I had used myself to be a conduit of hate and a conduit of fundamentalism and a conduit of blinkered narrow-mindedness. And I never want that again. I never want that for anyone else. And I want to make sure that everyone can at least make their own choices in life. Like I am now on your show, telling people, think for yourself, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. I always say, just be the best fucking version of yourself that you can be. As long as you're not harming anyone, you should be good to go.
Yeah. Does chat have anything they want to ask me?
We could find out. The best way for me to actually notice a question, guys, is if you do like I'm not asking for money, but a super chat, because it'll come up in color, and like $1 is fine, or 50 cents even, but I don't know if they have that option. But if anyone does have any questions, I'm actually paying attention now, so you don't have to do that, but you can like just at me or something. Right? Apparently Phoebe's now a robot. Beep boop. Phoebe, I do have a question though, but how when you realized that you were trans, how did that come into play with all of this?
It made me more selective in the branches of religion that I associated with, but it made me no less of a zealot.
Okay.
So I knew that I would not be accepted as a trans woman in Orthodoxy or Hasidic Judaism.
For sure.
And I saw liberal Judaism and Reform Judaism as far too lefty for me.
At the time. Sure. Okay.
At the time.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of, well, okay, you aren't opposed to my existence. You're quite friendly to my existence, but you keep a lot of the traditional stuff that I quite like. So I'll follow you lot. And I've always been quite upfront and quite open with being trans because it's much safer, in my opinion, for me personally. This is not for everybody, but for me to be upfront. Because if you then don't like me straight away, you don't like me, and you haven't wasted any of your time and my time. You want to go and attack me straight away. You've attacked me straight away, but I'll attack you back, and don't feel bad when you lose the fight.
That's awesome.
You can attack me all you want, but I'm going to be pretty sure you're going to lose against me. Just saying. I'm
Yeah,
6
no
foot.
doubt.
I'm 193 centimeters tall, and I
Me
weigh
too.
75 kilos. And I can run for days, I can swim for days, and I can lift twice my body weight.
Oh shit! I'm not fucking with you. And I'm the same height as you. I'm 193 point something, whatever the hell it was. But I don't know what I am in kilos, but I'm about 248 in pounds.
For the Americans out there, that's just about 6'3".
Yeah, and I'm actually over 6'3". Put my
Just
biker boots on, and I'm over 6'5".
If I put my killer heels on, I'm 7 foot tall.
Oh shit! How big are those fucking heels?
So they got a platform at the front, which is a couple of inches, and they got on the end of that, they then got 6 inches above the platform.
Oh my goodness! You just turn yourself into a giant at that point.
Well, precisely. Somebody did suggest to me, well, why don't you get some, ones which have got like a 6-inch platform and then like a 12-inch heel? I said, no, because if I fall from that height, I may end up in A&E. I may end up, with serious concussion injuries, because that is a long way down.
Yeah, for sure. And the floor seems a lot harder when you hit it too.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot more speed that you're going with, and it's like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're almost capable of reaching maximum velocity at that point when you fall.
Yes, but there is something I wanted to do. I wanted to say thank you.
The hell was that?
Oh, I've lost some of it.
Oh,
I'll try another one. Hey!
I see little streamers.
My
Awesome.
way of congratulating myself.
Yeah, it's just like the first time you've. Is this the first time you've come on to a stream to talk about this thing?
About coming away from religion, yes.
Awesome. Well, I feel
so. You got me first.
Yay! I appreciate that, Phoebe. I do.
Ed was the very
first.
first person to get me on any stream. But you're the first person to get me on a stream talking about religion.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you did that. I'm glad you came on and shared your experience with us.
Yes.
I appreciate you very much for that. And I think what we'll do now is get into an after party. Unfortunately, my producer is working today at his IRL job. That's lovely. So he won't be with us unless he manages to get home in time. Oh, now you're just being silly.
Of course I'm being silly. I can do what I like.
Of course you can.
Also, some of these streamers didn't really work.
No, they kind of kept their shape. Yeah, I find those like dollar store streamers or something, aren't they?
Yeah. A friend of mine gave these to me the other day, and it's just like,
Disappointing.
It's
like the Lego set I ordered turned out to not be a Lego set. When I got
was it Duplo?
No, it wasn't Duplo, because Duplo's officially Lego. But
oh yes, it's just big Lego.
It's just cheap ass fucking knockoff Lego. It doesn't know how to spell Star Wars. It spells Star Wart.
That reminds me of someone else who I used to watch on the internet, but then it got far too repetitive. He used to review knockoff computer games, and he reviewed the knockoff PlayStation Portable, which was called a Pop Station. And it came with 4 games. And one of the games, I kid you not, was called Chanticleer Hegemony, which was basically a cockfighting game.
What are dollar stores called in England?
Poundland.
Ooh, that could be misconstrued.
You want to know the irony? Poundland bought their biggest rival, the 99p store.
Pound Palaces. Yeah, that works too. Nice. Yeah. Well, Phoebe, we have come to the hour. So let's do the after party thing. Yeah. We just passed it. We made it all the way through. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. It was
you're very welcome.
to finally chat with you as well, because I've seen you pop in you're a fairly recent newcomer to the stream and stuff like that, to the show. But I'm glad
I blame Arden for the reason that I'm on this show. I blame Arden of Eden because she said, "Watch me on this show," and then we got chatting in the comments of hers, and then he said, "Come on my show." It's like, "Yeah, all right,
sure, yeah, why not?"
Yeah, you sound like a friendly enough bloke.
Well, I appreciate that. I try my best to be, a good person as much as I can.
Yes.
But
yes, I'm going to get the only thing that a British person cannot do without.
What's that?
I'm going to get a pot of tea, and I'm going to bring this pot of tea to the after party. I'm also going to go down the store quickly, and I'm going to get some British biscuits. So if you want to find out what British biscuits are like, hang around for the after party. And you'll also get proof that my hat is made of paper.
That's right. That's the cliffhanger we left you guys with. Coming up soon. So we're going to do that. If anyone would like to be involved in the after party, please let me know either via Twitter messages or Facebook messages, and I will get you a link, and you can jump in here with us and hang out with the amazing, fun and funny Phoebe and myself, and the seagulls from hell apparently are going to be there with us. Yeah, we have them here too. So.
No more doorbells.
What did you did you disconnect?
I disconnected my doorbell.
But we are going to take a short break, guys, because I'm going to go have do my smoking thing and take a pee and whatnot. And Phoebe's going to grab some biscuits and do that human, stuff. Anyway.
So I will see you all soon.
Yeah, you betcha. Before we go, though, I'd like to do a couple of shout outs. First of all, to my amazing patrons. Thank you guys for everything that you do for me. It's because of you. I can continue to do this, and I appreciate all of you. And don't forget that Randolph and myself are also coming up with our own call-in show real soon called True North Talk. So if you didn't know that, you can head over to our YouTube channel, True North Talk on YouTube there, and give us a sub, and you won't miss our launch date. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I am now one of the newer hosts of the revamped and relaunched that's not the right one. Revamped and relaunched nonprofit show, which airs this Sunday at 3 p.m. between Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience. So head over there and check it out. I haven't been on any episodes lately because I'm still dealing with my mom in the hospital, but you'll see me soon. And of course, the last Saturday of every month, myself and Andy and Seamus get together over on Andy's channel, which is Laughing in Disbelief. And we do a show called Atheist Drinking Out Loud, where we get together, have a few brewskis or whatever your poison is, and we have fun and make fun of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. Coming up this one on the last Saturday of this month, if all goes well and her internet connection gets dealt with, we will have Bionic Dance on, like we were supposed to last time. But that's about it, guys. So what I'd like to do now, I think, is... as I always say at the end of the interviews, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time. Yay for streamers.